Good afternoon, and thank you for joining Chief of Pueblo Police Department and Deputy Mayor Chris Noller and I today. Both of us are incredibly disheartened by the officer-involved shooting that occurred last night. While we are both grateful for our officers are being treated for their injuries, we are also outraged by the fact that the shooting that took place was preventable. Habitual offenders are a continuous threat to our community, not only to the city of Pueblo, but to the other communities across the state of Colorado. The individual who committed this heinous act on our officers is known to the Pueblo Police Department and others around the state. The injuries to our officers were preventable. This individual has an extensive past in committing crime, from what some people would consider low level all the way up to dangerous and violent crime. While we understand our men and women of the Pueblo Police Department have taken an oath to protect and serve our community, and they understandably know they will be placed in harm's way, there is no reason for preventable harm should be part of their job duties. I am not satisfied with the legislation that ties the hands of my officers and their ability to remove these violent predators from our streets, and neither should you be. As a community, we should be outraged, and we deserve better. Our police officers deserve better. Arriving at the hospital last night was nothing short of a nightmare, and even though this dark day at our department, I was reminded by the sea of blue in and out of the trauma rooms. I am the luckiest mayor alive to have Pueblo police officers who run towards the bullets and darkness and not away from them in an effort to protect my community. Three very brave men, alongside their families, have paid the price for our community's safety, and even in their times of despair, they were concerned about their fellow brothers and sisters and their community. I want to thank UC Health for their tremendous role in last night and the compassion for all the compassion that they had for all of us. I also want to thank all of the other law enforcement officers and first responders, specifically our dispatchers who came out to assist with the situation, and our own police department for all the support they were able to provide last night. I think I have the entire city of Pueblo Police Department out in the city. To the three officers and their families, I wish you a speedy recovery and know that you have the entire support of the city of Pueblo behind you. We are here for you, and we are sure lucky to have you, and our thoughts and prayers remain with you. At this time, I would now like to turn it over to Chief of Police Chris Noller so he can share the additional information with you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for being here today. I'd like to start by thanking the Pueblo County Sheriff's Office, Colorado State Patrol, Colorado Bureau of Investigations, the 10th Judicial District Attorney's Office, our partners with the ATF, the FBI, and DEA, and many, many chiefs of police throughout our state who have reached out to express their support for our officers in our department. You all mean very much to me, and if I missed anybody, I didn't leave you out intentionally. I would also like to thank the outpouring of support from the citizens of Pueblo. I am blessed to serve such an incredible community. I want to especially thank the men and women of the Pueblo Police Department, the patrol officers and the investigators, the dispatchers and civilian staff who were working last night and who responded when we sent out the call for help. The response was overwhelming, and I am humbled to work with you. I want to talk about the day my officers had yesterday, March 18th. It started at 5 a.m. when 4 officers responded to a domestic violence call in the 3300 block of Azalea. The suspect, Isai Torres, assaulted 4 of our officers, dislocating the shoulder of one and spitting in our officers' and medical staff's face. Our officers had to fight with him all the way to the hospital where he received medical treatment prior to being taken to jail, where he currently resides on a no-bond hold. Isai Torres was arrested in January for a first-degree assault where he is alleged to have shot a person, and he was out on a $2,500 bond when he assaulted my officers. A little over 12 hours later, shortly after 7 p.m., our officers were looking for Billy Soto, who was wanted for attempted murder in relation to a shooting at the Pueblo Village Apartments on February 3rd, 2025. Billy Soto was a self-admitted MS-13 gang member who had a criminal history that spans pages. He had 14 felony arrests, most of which pled to misdemeanors. At the time of the shooting last night, he was out on bond on not 1, but 3 felony cases. And as I stated, he was wanted on attempted murder charges related to a shooting at an apartment complex in Pueblo's south side. All officers were ambushed and shot by a malicious person who should have been in jail but wasn't because of our soft on crime legislation and bonds. He fired an estimated 80 rounds at responding officers who thankfully are in stable condition but have a long road to recovery. Our officers ended his rampage of terror the only way they could, by shooting him, and he is dead. I'd like to just make a few statements about the environment that breeds this type of criminal behavior. When we refuse as a state to hold low-level criminals accountable, they become emboldened. Violent crime goes up, and incidents like this assault are the result. The broken windows theory of law enforcement worked in New York, it worked in Boston, it worked in LA, and many other communities. Instead of holding low-level offenders responsible, the state of Colorado has adopted the open windows theory of law enforcement, where we hold no one accountable. Our victims suffer, our communities suffer, and our police officers suffer. This year, they continue to try to take away any tool we have available to hold criminals accountable. And when we find ways around their weak policies, they try to take those options away from us as well. I, for one, am sick of it. I'm sick of my officers taking these risks and being held to this kind of a crime with no recourse. And our community should be sick of it. The blood of my officers lays at the steps of our Capitol, and the reckless and soft-on-crime legislation passed out of there, and I'm tired of the needless violence my officers in our community face because of these policies. It is not the people in our Capitol who pay the price for these laws that do nothing but coddle criminals and let them loose back into our community. The individuals voting for and passing this legislation do not suffer the consequences of their policies. Instead, it is the people who live in towns like Pueblo, in neighborhoods like the East Side and Bessemer, here in Pueblo and in other cities around our state, who suffer. It's the economically depressed and minority communities who suffer. It is our officers and law enforcement officials like ours who suffer the endless assaults, shootings, violence, etc. I do not believe the majority of our citizens support this legislation, or do they? Over the past 4 years, the situation for our communities has become increasingly worse. Each year, criminals receive breaks, while officers lose qualified immunity, are assumed to have committed misconduct solely because a body-worn camera wasn't turned on, as is specifically outlined in Senate Bill 2217. And our communities suffer under the lawlessness that is pervasive throughout this state. If they truly cared about our officers and our citizens, they would demand that criminals be held accountable. Instead, they are released from jails with little or no bond when we can arrest them, serve less than half their sentences in prison or jail when they are sentenced, and return to our communities to assault, shoot, and in some cases kill our officers and citizens with impunity. I will no longer sit idly by and not shout from the mountaintop about this injustice to my officers. They deserve better, as does our community. As the chief of police, I have a solemn duty to the men and women I work with to bring light to this situation, and as a citizen of this state, I have a right to demand more from our government. I would ask our community to continue to pray for our wounded officers and their families. I'd also ask that you pray for our officers who weren't physically wounded, but who carry the internal scars that come from facing incidents like this. Thank you. God bless my officers.
We can take a couple of questions from the audience. If you see me kind of, then we're going to cut that off, but just want to give that opportunity if anybody has any questions at this time.
Last night, we were told, obviously, that the officers were in stable condition. I just wanted to ask whether all three were expected to make a full recovery.
What I can tell you now is that our officers are in stable condition. They are undergoing some operations to try to repair the injuries that they have, and that's really about the extent of what I can talk about related to their injuries.
Do you have any more information on the guy that's deceased that caused this? Like, do you have a mug shot or something you can release those?
We could probably get you one. I don't have one available right now.
Do you know how many times Pueblo police have contact like them? It sounds like you guys had lots of run-ins with this guy.
Oh yeah, I couldn't give you a number. It's above 20, and he's got pages of criminal history, or had pages of criminal history.
And they just keep releasing him. catch him and he just goes back to
Yeah, it's like fishing in gold medal waters. You have to catch and release around here.
Just to piggyback off of that question, you say you've had contact with him above 20 times. Has he ever displayed violence towards Pueblo police officers in the past?
He's displayed violence in our community in the past. Absolutely. We were looking for him on a murder warrant at the time. So, yeah. Has he assaulted my officers? I couldn't tell you. The fact that people act that way, I mean, it's only a matter of time before that's the end result, in my opinion.
And that murder warrant, do you happen to recall which murder he was wanted for, like a date or anything like that?
What's that? It was attempted murder. I guess I misspoke. It was attempted murder.
Okay,
And it was at the Pueblo Village Apartments.
gotcha.
Chief,
Yes, ma'am.
Pueblo's a tight-knit community. I know the citizens are probably hurting right there with you. Is there any way they can help out, help the police department, help those who are injured?
There's a couple of ways. I think right now we're in talks with the police association here about trying to get a method if people want to donate money to the officers and their families. There's obviously that we've had an outpouring of appreciation with food and other things that people are trying to do in our community to show appreciation to our officers. We do have vacancies. They could apply and come help us keep this community safe. That'd be another way they could be of help to us. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's BILLYSOTO.
Can you speak to how many gunshot wounds officers sustained?
I'm not going to speak to that right now, but multiple.
Can you tell us what kind of weapon you had? You said more than 20 shots were fired? Or how many?
Yeah, there's about 80 rounds fired by him, and it was a rifle. All right. Thank you for your time.